Trudy had moved back to the Sudbury area at her mother's insistence. She was never able to break free entirely. Despite the fact that her mother had never done anything to save her life, she still couldn't go against what her mother's wishes were. It had been brutal living in Wasaga Beach in the shack, but at the same time, she'd had a lot of people care about her, particularly the children. And the media publicity had simply shown her the proof that there were hundreds of thousands of people just like her right here in Ontario in our own backyard. It's 1989 and she'd struggled and struggled, and she would get to her feet and she'd be seemingly functional, and then she'd crash and start all over again and never know why. But she knew she had to keep going. To save even one child is better than none. Trudy Marie woke remembering clearly that the dream she'd had the night before was that of her own birth. She hadn't wanted to be born. When she described it to her mother burst into tears, and she said, "How could you possibly know?" And she said, "Know what?" She said, I was 2 months pregnant with you. That was the first time your father beat me up." That leaves a rather interesting dilemma. But Trudy still felt that regardless, the right to decide whether you'd have an abortion or not is up to the individual who carries the child, namely the mother. She wouldn't do it. She didn't do it when she was pregnant. But it really bothered a lot of people that she'd had a dream, and her mother had confirmed in that dream that she was only 2 months in the fetus. So how could she know? Well, she didn't really know. She just knew something was wrong. When she was cradled inside her mother's womb, and then she went slam against the floor, and she hurt for a long time. Not sure why her mother recognized that in the dream, definitely, she was pregnant with Trudy. It was a blizzard, her favorite time of year. The howling, tree branches smashing against the roof, tinkling bells in the distance, and she was in freezing cold. She could hardly move, but had to get coffee or she would die. She blinked, light pierced her eyes. She grabbed her ski glasses and put them on. She had slept once again wearing clothes and the gas mask as usual, even though she was in an apartment in Chelmsford and it was really quite warm. The cold just made her feel better, so she didn't put the heat on. She shuffled, wearing her ski suit, fur coat, fox hat, ski-doo mitts, ski glasses, and wearing a gas mask made her for quite a sight. She'd heard a knocking on the door. The woman was a stranger. She was of medium stature, long straight nose, head covered in a bonnet and wearing a mink coat. The woman cleared her throat and stammered, "I read an article about you. I know you've been badly treated, but my daughter is dying, and I am convinced she is like you." Then the small woman's eyes swelled with tears and burst into sobs. Trudy Marie did not remember, nor did she understand why this lady was apologizing. People had been very rude, often to her, but then it seemed so normal, she hadn't really noticed. All she could think of was a child dying? "Hurry, get my water and the extra gas mask," pointing to a box by the sofa. "Help me, can't walk far by myself." Yes, Trudy was taking major attacks. She'd actually gone skiing and now was in another attack and didn't know why. Don't start the car till I get inside. When they reached the woman's home, clearly it was a very expensive property. When they walked inside, Trudy Marie delicately peeled off her mask to sniff the air, then cried out as she slapped the mask back on, "This place is a death trap. Get her out of here. Bring her over to my place, hurry." The little girl was about 5, blonde, dewy eyes, and a little pudgy, pleasantly plump, as Trudy used to say. Her mother said, "She's just swollen." Trudy Marie says, "Damn right she is. This place reeks of toxic hydrocarbons. You still have to rip up the carpet and put down non-toxic vinyl. Those curtains are reeking dye fumes. Get rid of them. Put your furniture outside for a while and the fumes may bleed off. I don't know. But the smell of mold from your basement, well, a good solid door may seal off the basement, but mold is a killer." "The expense," the mother cried. "It's that or kill her." And then the woman sobbed, apologizing. "I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. You've been brainwashed. But thank God you're not poor. The poor don't stand a chance. I can't thank you enough. You could thank me better by fighting the media. I'm sick and tired of saving people and their children, and nobody's going public, and I'm doing it all myself." "I know, but you've been humiliated. We're frightened." "Yes, isn't that true? Your fear is keeping you trapped in a system. It's tyrannical." "But I never fed her junk food. Why would this happen to us?" Trudy Marie tries to explain it's both a genetic and acquired condition. "But why can't we get help from doctors?" "Because they don't study chemicals. You can't very well recognize diseases caused by toxic chemicals because then you'd have to go after industry and stop it. So it's just much easier. Just pretend it's not happening." She said, "But you were in a cabin. How could that be worse than my home?" She said, "Well, because it was old and it was dry and there was no mold, and we washed the whole place down with Zephyrin, and there was no toxic chemicals in it. Listen, look, I don't have time to educate you in 18 months of global scientific research. No more questions. Questions hurt my brain. Enough. You know what you have to do to save your child. Now just do as I say." The first thing was to clean out the little girl's intestines. Marie had discovered that fruit was too acidic for detox purposes. They gave her a light laxative, all natural, then made her drink pure spring water. Asked her if she was lactose intolerant. She said, "Well, you have to get her goat's milk yogurt. She's got to have yogurt. You need something to help flush out the toxins." "Come on, Karen, glug, 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 3 men in a tub, rub-a-dub-dub, my tummy is a sub." Karen giggled and drank. Marie kept singing to her and drank right along with her. Sick people responded better as she kept them company in the detox process. As the toxins began to flush, by the 3rd day the child went into spasms of excruciating pain. She told the mother, "This is the critical stage. Many victims can't take it and give it up. That's why they become housebound." Trudy Marie wrapped Karen in her arms, rocking her. "My body's limerick chemistry will help lower the pain." Trudy had a healing chemistry that worked wonders, just as Dan had with her, and Tom had with her, and Timmy had with her. Some people actually bring down your pain if they hold you, and others will increase it. Trudy's mother always made her worse. The child seemed to understand. She was completely cooperative. By Friday, she was bouncing like a newborn gazelle. The woman offered to give her some money. "No, money is not what I want. I want people to fight this war and not leave it all to me." There had been hundreds just like her. Trudy Marie was getting sick and tired of always helping others. And then they dumped her and left the fight to her. She got another hug from the child when they left. She had prayed that the child would remember, if not the mother. For it's with the children that there's hope. She was not always sure if she believed that it was the only way she could go on in this way. Most days she just wanted to die. She got a call from New York. I read about you. You couldn't have. There have been no media. Oh, yes. Chris Hedrick did the article. She hadn't seen it because he hadn't mailed it to her yet. He said, did you send anything to an environmental health group in New Jersey? And she said, well, yes, I did, but I sent out hundreds pleading for help, never got it. I don't know. Well, they did a story on you anyhow. It doesn't say much, but I got your phone number from them. I want to help you. I'll marry you. I'm not rich, but I make enough. I have a home in the Catskill Mountains. You would be safe, and through marriage you would have American rights. Oh, it was all coming back to her. Here we are. It's 1989. And was it 69 when Americans wanted to save her from the medical system in Canada? Oh, I can't, she said, I can't. I wish I could, but it's just too late for that. If I did that, I would abandon my fight for legal rights and disability for people like me. I'm not a martyr, believe me, but there are millions in this country, and I've got figures to prove over 2 million in Ontario. I could never do it from New York. I don't think I could. I have to be a Canadian. I have to fight within my own country for within my own laws. I understand. He said, I just wanted you to know that not all men are rapists. Did they publish my rapes? Well, in one article, they said that there was over 30. Trudy Marie says, listen, I know all men are not evil. I know that. Just as many men have kept me alive and helped to take care of you, take care of me. She received another phone call, this time from California. He said there was a drug. We'd have to pay $40,000 on the black market to get her hands on it and test it. And we'd have to meet her in New York City. But he said it would reverse the brain damage. That she would literally go from death to dancing. Well, why not? She was at the end of the line. She was so exhausted. She'd gotten off tap water. A kind person had come to her aid and explained to her about the chlorine in the water. There were just so many things that were toxic. Dr. Cowan had taught her. Mr. Mack had taught her biochemistry and what dust mites and mold, the world of microscopic bugs. And yes, it had helped a lot of people, but it just didn't save her. And there was a very, very good article in the Sudbury Northern Life by Jim Brown. A beautiful picture of her in the bubble gas mask. But for some reason, the editor of the Northern Life was really mean, and she probably was a friend of her father's. Her father had done everything he could to sabotage her. He didn't want anybody helping her. So she never did get a picture, a copy of that picture. All she has is a copy of the newspaper article. Tom came over and helped pack her things and get her ready for New York, and her mother had decided that she would wear nothing but black and white. It's just easier to coordinate. She was getting ready to get on the plane. If she'd lived, she'd lived. If she died, she died. It really didn't matter. She had to take the chance. It wasn't just about her. If it worked, it meant it would save the lives of millions. Millions all over the planet.